A lot of speculation has been going around as to who Joe Biden will pick for his Democratic running mate to run against Republican President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, bringing up potential choices including Democratic Georgia leader Stacey Abrams, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Kamala Harris, and Senator Tammy Duckworth, and many more options. But what people aren't talking about is who Joe Biden will not pick for vice president, something just as important to define going into the presidential race. So, we wanted to go through a few of them today. Let's dive right in. First off the bat, Bernie Sanders. I know that a lot of people on the left wing of the Democratic Party hope to see a unity ticket that can bring moderates and democratic socialists together. However, there are a few large problems when it comes to picking Sanders as a running mate. One of the biggest ones being, he's not a woman. Joe Biden has mentioned on countless occasions that he hopes to get a female perspective from his vice presidential slot. As a result of Biden repeating this idea so often, it's become difficult for the public to imagine him selecting someone who is not a woman. And if he were to select a male running mate, it could then be interpreted that he's not a trustworthy candidate for president, which could then scare off many moderates on the edge of voting for him. But that's not where Senator Bernie Sanders' issues end. Although Biden should be taking the influence of the left wing of the Democratic Party seriously, he also doesn't want to completely upset his base, the people who are most enthusiastic to help his campaign. As a moderate establishment Democrat, picking the most radically left-leaning senator in the United States, who also isn't officially a member of the Democratic Party, but instead a political independent, could be quite damaging to his strong reputation among older and wealthier establishment Democrats, who would be most likely to donate and volunteer for him, effectively ruining some of his political organization going into the election period. Even if Sanders likely wouldn't accept to compromise his political beliefs, even if Sanders rejects it, even offering the position to him could scare away a good portion of moderates from Biden's base voting blocks. Although, I'm still not done with the potential issues related to Sanders. Besides repeatedly stating that he would like a female running mate, one of the slightly less mentioned characteristics is that he would also like for his running mate to be a person of color, something which Sanders is clearly not. He is also quite similar to Biden geographically, an old white man from a northeastern state. He does not even provide a geographical distinction from Biden. So, having compiled these factors, we would consider Sanders to be about as likely of a pick as Biden choosing Republican Senator Ted Cruz. But, speaking of a woman of color to potentially be Biden's running mate, there are a few political pipe dreams and fantasies which need to be dispelled. The first of which is former First Lady Michelle Obama. There's a lot of issues with this idea. First off, she has repeatedly said that she doesn't want to be vice president. But we can see why in the world of politics you can't necessarily trust those types of statements. A lot of people have said they don't want to run, all the while setting up election strategies covertly. So, rather than trying to prove that she doesn't want to run, let's focus on why she would not be picked in the first place. Although she has spent time in the White House and has successfully developed a national persona for herself, she fundamentally does not have political experience. One of Biden's main criticisms of Trump will likely be that he was elected in 2016 with a lack of political experience, and that this was a significant source of problems for the administration. But if he chooses someone like Michelle Obama, who herself lacks that political experience, Trump can deflect this argument and then point right back at Biden. One of the main distinctions that the Democrats are attempting to emphasize is that they are the ones with a lengthier political experience, and they can't afford to dash that away. The same argument goes for Oprah, who some have offered up as a potential VP pick. She suffers from the same flaw as Michelle Obama to an even greater extent. She does not have political experience, and in the case of Oprah, she also did not have the opportunity to learn White House communication techniques. Although she's arguably the polar opposite of Trump in terms of political rhetoric, she is an outsider from the business community, whose potential success in office is based on her success in the private sector, a very similar narrative to that of Donald Trump. That would even more effectively work into Trump's hand in deflecting Democratic criticism. Although, having spent at least some time in office does not mean success as a potential vice presidential pick, as demonstrated by Bernie Sanders earlier and the next individual. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, is a member of The Squad, a group of 4 progressive congresswomen, and she is perhaps one of the furthest left-leaning members of the House of Representatives, leading to many of the same problems we encountered when talking about Bernie Sanders. He is not going to choose someone from the hard left progressive wing of the party. He needs to maintain his base of moderates and appeal to moderate Republican voters who could be willing to switch sides. She's also heavily affiliated with Sanders, having endorsed Bernie's primary campaign against Joe Biden, and having been a political organizer for Sanders prior to assuming office in 2019, which being said is not a tremendous amount of political experience, which brings up the same argument. Finally, the last point in relation to Ocasio-Cortez is that she's only 30 years old, which could be a problem considering the minimum age of 35 to even be allowed to run for vice president in the United States. So, she wouldn't even be allowed to run. So, then you may be asking, why even mention the first 2 problems with her running if her age means they don't count for anything? Well, it's because those arguments would apply to all members of the squad, not just AOC. This includes Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Rashida Tlaib, who are all over the age of 25, but would be nearly impossible as vice presidential picks for Joe Biden. That being said, although progressives make up a large part of this list, there are also certain moderates who are likely not going to be Biden's running mate, leading to potentially one of the worst possible VP picks, Hillary Clinton. Although Clinton aligns ideologically with Biden, she would not significantly benefit his campaign. Although she is a potential female running mate, she is not a person of color, which is already one criteria gone. She comes from the northeastern state of New York, which is also reliably Democratic, so she's not swaying any votes geographically, But the biggest problem with selecting Hillary Clinton is her sheer unpopularity across the United States of America. She was one of the most unpopular presidential picks in history, according to 2016 approval rating polls, and would actively drag Biden's campaign downwards, especially in crucial regions like the Rust Belt, with swing states including Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, where she is especially unpopular for her economic policy. By the way, those were all states that she lost in 2016. Yet, the problems don't even end there. If there existed any way to completely and utterly upset the Democratic left wing, it would be picking Hillary Clinton, an establishment moderate career Democrat, who was the subject of the Never Hillary movement created by Democratic socialists from the left wing of the party. Instead of increasing voter turnout, which is crucial for a Democratic victory, it would be decreasing turnout. Many on the left would refuse to vote for her. Therefore, of the individuals on the list, Clinton is one of the worst, if not the worst option for Biden strategically. That concludes our list, but we also have a video about who Biden could likely pick, so why don't you subscribe, like, and check it out on our channel page. Also, we have some further readings in the description. Have a great day. Bye!